everybody, and welcome to Money Hour. My name is Olga, and I'm super happy to be speaking to you tonight about the 9 mistakes, or many mistakes, that women make when it comes to money. But I'm going to give it another minute to wait until everybody has gathered in the room and settled in and you all feel comfortable. It's wonderful to have you all with us every week. Desiree, for those of you who are repeaters, sends her regards. She hopes you enjoyed the Money Hour on Gold. And tonight it's going to be me. So I hope you are comfortable and cozy and fine and ready to go. As always, you can find and send questions through the chat, and I will answer as many as I can of them through the chat, of course. This is your Money Hour, so it should be useful, it should be interactive, and I think it's brilliant that you all are back and discuss around money every week and every Tuesday. So let me get started with the presentation. And I hope you all see it here. For those of you who have joined for the first time tonight, Smart Purse, which I'm one of the 2 co-founders, jointly with Jude Kelly, is a money fitness toolkit that's designed to make learning all about money very easy and simple. Basically, it helps you to do that in the way like a fitness app would help you to count steps. So in very easy and very personal form and way. You see this here, it's 5 things that you can do on the platform. It will help you to define your money goals, learn what you need to know in bite-sized chunks, or in I would say in an interactive way with quizzes, polls, etc. And you can find an expert. We have more and more experts joining us every week now. So you can find an expert, and some of them provide free money coaching, really cool people. And ultimately, the goal is that you make your money work for you in a way that you feel comfortable with, that you are happy with, and that secures your future and also allows you to make the world a better place. But with that, maybe let me explain a little bit about myself. For those of you who don't know me, I am a financial services professional. I specialize in marketing and innovation, spent over 15 years in the industry now, and changed the world's largest wealth manager to serve women better. And basically on the back of that, learned a lot about the need for simpler, easier, and most importantly, more fun financial education. And that is what led me and Jude to found this venture, which is Smart Purse. Well, and we hold these weekly money hours every week now during the crisis, because we found out that there is a lot to be discussed, but also that it is a brilliant way to stay in touch with each other. And so I enjoy every single one of them very, very much, and hope you will do too. So let me ask you a question. Today's topic is all about the most common money mistakes that women make. And this is partially based on research and partially based on my practice and Jude's practice, exchanging with women, talking to women, writing about women and money. And before we dive into the content, maybe I will try to poll you and ask you a very tough question right at the beginning. And I hope you all can see the poll, which is, what is the biggest money regret you have? And you can be transparent, because nobody is going to see what you are polling. And you can vote for this now. What is the biggest money regret you have? That you don't negotiate enough, that you potentially delegate money to your partner, that you did not invest. Strong runners coming in here, investments running ahead of negotiation skills. We see negotiation catching up with investments. And there we go. So 72% of all of you basically feel that The biggest regret is that you didn't invest yet. And the good news is, well, there's nothing that can't be fixed. Women very often ask me and say, oh, I didn't start so far. Is it now too late? And I usually show these charts with the scary curves. And those of you who come to some of my speeches probably will already know them. Tonight, I'm not here to scare you with these charts. But basically, the question is always, if I'm in my 40s or in my 50s, does it still pay off if I start to invest? And yes, obviously it does, and it actually still provides a benefit. So I think good news for all of you who feel this is regretful. It is nothing that can't be fixed, and it is actually very, very easy to get on and fix that. So I'm going to end this poll now and continue with my presentation and see, some of the common statements. Does this sound like you? It definitely sounds very much like me. And actually, partially what is on this chart sounds very much like me even still today. Talking about money sometimes makes me feel incredibly stupid. And you will think this lady is crazy. She works in the industry for 15 years. She writes about money. It's her job to talk about money. Still, I do find this language and the abbreviations partially very intimidating, and they still are terms that I don't understand and have to look up. And I know that many women feel the same way. Well, I don't know if it sounds like you, but the second one being, I don't have time. Certainly, I'm a mother of 2 children. I don't know if there are any mothers in this money hour, but I certainly don't have the time. And now during the crisis, even less time. So if something is not easy and not straightforward, I have a high chance not to get it done. Being afraid of making a mistake. One of the main reasons why many women don't invest. Well, yeah, it's probably kind of a little bit like buying a car, right? You go to the car shop, the car seller explains everything about the car's technicalities, including the speed, including the horsepowers that it has, potentially to your partner, and they explain the colors to you. Well, that doesn't matter. It might maybe feel a little bit patronizing, but at least you get to drive the car. Well, when you invest money, sometimes you invest as much money as being worth a car, and there is no test drive. So I can understand that making a mistake can be a very scary thing. But quite frankly, if you do it right, investing is rather safe, I would say. Certainly having your money on a cash account is no way safer because over time, inflation and zero interest will just eat away at it. Women tend to delegate money to their partners. He knows more than I do is one of the main reasons. And even in my family history, my mom, who is a rock solid entrepreneur, she's still working at the age of 73, delegated money to my dad, or to a certain extent, she delegated it to my dad. And when my dad died, there were a lot of unpleasant surprises. And then many of you, 73% or 75% said you regret that you didn't invest so far. Well, sometimes people just don't know where to start. I don't know where to start sometimes. One has to look this up, one has to get advice, one has to educate himself, and that costs time. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. So I don't know if you recognize yourself in all of this, but these are some of the most common perceptions that women have about money. Now, what to do about them? Finance is last on my list, which links to time, which links to potentially being consumed and dedicated to what you are doing all the way through your life, right? I will not take the conception that, it is your biggest worry to deal with your money day in and day out. That's my job to worry about because it is my job and my passion and my life's mission to give and provide sound financial education to women, but certainly I wouldn't expect that it is anybody else's. Now, The secret to this is you have to make the time for this, but probably just in tiny chunks. Number one comes to have a firm conviction, knowing what you want. Number two, to make an appointment with yourself. And number three, don't be too hard on yourself. It's like with the fitness program. When you start a fitness program and you feel like, oh my God, I need to lose 10 kilos and become, like the super strong muscle woman in no time, most likely you will fail. I know because I am a trained fitness coach as well. That's what many people don't know about me, but I'm a trained fitness coach. And the people that were overly ambitious and were so hard on themselves at the beginning, they run out of steam. But being good with money is actually a question of self-discipline and the question of a habit. So staying at it is probably one of the biggest things that you can do. And so my recommendation to you would be book appointments with yourself, but make tiny chunks and set achievable goals so that it can become a natural priority in your life rather than being this enormous chunk that you feel is too overwhelming and you can't master. The second, probably most costly and largest money mistake women make in my practice is not to be prepared for unexpected life events. Currently, we are in the time of a global crisis. Many of us might be afraid about losing their jobs, but also unexpected events can happen, such as the death of a partner or a relative falling ill. And not being prepared for these events, according to statistics, shows that leaves women vulnerable. It leaves us in a trapped situation, and it usually costs us a lot of money. Give you one example. I'm again going to use my mom as an example, because it has been such a striking thing. When my dad died, as said, my mom detected unpaid tax bills. We detected things around the pension fund that we didn't believe would ever be possible. And quite frankly, at that point in time, despite my parents having a very happy marriage, I felt completely alone with this, and so did my mom. Later on, then, when working in UBS and doing all of the research, we actually find out that I think it's something like 7 or even 8 out of 10 women experience unpleasant surprises when it comes to a partner's passing or to a divorce. So you being prepared for unexpected life events, that means having a safety fund, that means having a financial plan, that means having, if you are living in a partnership, a talk with your partner and understanding what is happening with your joint money. That is having access to the different joint bank accounts so that it is equal. Joint planning discussions on financial planning jointly with your partner, and potentially having precautionary measures such as a life insurance or such as understanding what's happening with your pension can be a really, really good idea. And everybody always thinks, this might not happen to me. But then when it happens, the surprise is so big. So it's nothing unromantic. I think it's actually something very rational and very sound to prepare yourself that life might throw very unexpected things at you at completely unforeseen times. Well, we already touched on this, right? The biggest money regret is from all of you was, well, I'm saving only. And it was so nice. I had this conversation with a really wonderful financial advisor yesterday. He's a man and very passionate about financial education for children. And I'm just going to use this quote that he used and say, Olga, I feel that somehow people need to learn to have a more modern approach to saving. And that is not just keeping the money on their savings account. So When you start to invest, obviously you need to know what your goals are. You need to know how much risk you are willing to take. But the predominant 3 golden rules of every investment strategy, and they are just so simple, is to invest for the long term. So if you invest in the stock market, it has to be, or preferably it is, 10 years. To invest in a diversified way, so that means don't put all of your eggs into one basket, but actually invest your money broadly spread. To look for solutions that are cost effective. And actually, I always urge women, even if they get financial advice, to look at what you get net of the fees that you are paying for the financial product. So not only what does it costing me, but what do I get really in the end as a return? And ultimately, to have the discipline to stay invested. And because we are all time poor, of course, there are many people that will preach you or say, do it all with an automated platform, potentially with a robo-advisor. I think that a robo-advisor is one possible strategy for you to do it. I also think that there are many options to actually invest into exchange trade funds, which are very cheap opportunities, but also to get really good and sound financial advice from a human advisor, preferably somebody who is independent, to actually craft a strategy that is really right for you. And if you want to know more about how to craft a sound investment strategy, then just drop me your question or an email in the chat. I'm going to do that right now, because that is what we have basically done Smart Purse for. Now, going to reset this poll and going to continue to the biggest money mistake, number 4, not feeling comfortable about money. Now, you all voted saying this wasn't probably one of your biggest regrets, even though it was a close head-to-toe race here. But not feeling comfortable to talk about money is a very female thing. Yes, we are probably not the bullish pitchers that will go and make our achievements sound so exorbitantly great. But there is research that shows that when it comes to salaries, women actually start with already lower expectations. And as then we start with a lower base, and here I'm not even talking about us choosing professions that might maybe be less well paid. I'm talking about our own mindset, that in many cases we start with a lower expectation, and from there the things on the pay gaps just get worse. So one key component to be confident to talk about money is actually set your mind to it and find the courage to ask for what you are worth and what you deserve. And it is a mindset thing, and they are enormously well-trained people that teach women negotiation skills now these days. One person I can recommend is Wies Bradby. She runs wonderful seminars that will leave you very much empowered. And I'm not mentioning her here in order to sell you something. I'm just mentioning her here because I think she does a wonderful job in empowering in us the courageous mindset. Now, talking about money doesn't only mean that you can ask for what you are worth. It also means that you can hold a conversation about money with your partner. And that then again leads to transparency, so that you know what's going on. That then again leads to helping you to probably be better prepared for your life events. Talking about money also means that you are, if you have children, able to hold a conversation about money with your children, which is very important because we learn about our money concepts at the age of 7. Then our biggest money beliefs are formed. So as women, because we also educate our children, it's very important to be able to be comfortable to talk about money. And it's actually fun too. So I do encourage you to have conversations about money, be it in your workplace, be it with friends, because you get a lot of good advice, but also with your children, and most importantly, also with your partner. And then finally, this was a regret I already mentioned, leaving the financial decisions to your partner Well, what can be done about this besides transparency is really to take part when the decisions are being made. We are wonderful, naturally, at paying household bills and managing budgets. But here in Switzerland, actually 4 out of 5 women don't get involved into long-term financial planning. And I think it is regretful because we need to know about these things. It's our joint future that we are planning. So getting involved in the discussion is certainly something that you can start doing even tomorrow. And that means, as already mentioned, also having the access to the accounts, but understanding how the documents function and all these great things. Now, I'm going to poll you one more time to see a little bit what worries you at this point in time, in the time of crisis, so that we have something more to talk about. And you should see the poll now here, which is a little bit around what worries you most about the COVID crisis. Yeah, there we go. And if you always see me looking over there, I have 2 screens here, so sometimes it's a little distracting as I'm so short-sighted. But just pardon me for that. Global recession, still losing job. Well, I take comfort in that many of you are actually optimists, so that's wonderful. I'm going to end this poll here and just carry on. You mentioned that sometimes you feel, or you mentioned that basically you regret not to invest, and we talked about all of these 5 money mistakes that women make. Well, the positive news is that when we do invest, we actually make wonderful investors. You see a couple of stats here. Women achieve more investment return. We invest for the care of the planet, and we also make our money matter mostly for other women. So you should have every comfort in your ability to get on with your investments, because statistically proven, the chances that you will succeed are rather high. And why I feel that that is so important is actually this quote that has left me so inspired. I think that our female investment power is more needed than ever now. Because as this quote says, we will not go back to normal, because normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate. And I think we have a chance to do this better and to recreate the world that we want to live in. And so the big question to you would be, if we as women control 80% of the purchasing decisions on the planet, according to statistics, and 40% of the global private wealth, I think everything is possible. Because we are no victims, each and every one of you here is a change leader. You can invest your own money, you can inspire other women to do the same. As we mentioned, you educate your children, you add contribution to the economy, you support change, you can start influencing men, and as a business owner, potentially, you can support other women or a more sustainable planet. And so I think that is a very empowering message to have, and motivation enough that you should and can avoid all of these very simple money mistakes we talked about. And the 6th thing that you can do immediately to secure your future is to understand your personal situation, to talk to your partner and family about money, to check your insurances and pensions and see what they are doing and understand whether you need to, change anything there, to review investments if you have, to budget and invest in a safety pot, and ultimately to leverage the current opportunities as they are, and invest in a way that feels right for you. And therefore, I would love to leave you with a message to say, you can share this confidence with others, book a free speech or webinar with us, use or share our resource library and just make good use of it. There is a lot of material there teaching you how to invest, what products to select, and I'm always here, and Desiree is always here to help you to achieve that, or to work with one of the free money coaches that are currently joining Smart Purse to donate the time to actually help you to work through your personal financial plan and advise you on all the questions you might have. I am absolutely firmly convinced that to change the world, we as women must change the world of money, and that we can and we will, because it has already started. And so with that, I would love to open this webinar in the chat for all of you questions that you might have. And let's chat away. Thank you so much for listening to my longer presentation. And I'm going to type in my questions here into the chat, and we can discuss. And also my email address in case you have any detailed questions. Any questions, anyone, about money, financial planning, how to talk about money, how to invest? Now you can probably see me better. Okay, here we go. And I apologize, I have to use this screen because otherwise I can't read. What is your recommended emergency fund? 3 months salary? Yes, it depends on what you want to do and how long your notice period is and in which country you live, Ilona. But 3 months is definitely a good way. There are also people that recommend 6 months. If you want to go independent and you want to start and fund your own business, like I am doing, very recently done, then I think you might need a little bit of a bigger safety net. But with 3 months, you should be fine, 3 to 6 months. How to better invest for retirement as a woman? Well, I think the earlier you start, the easier it gets, Nat. But most importantly is that you actually take advantage of all of the options that are available to you. So number one, check whether you have any pension gap in your state pension. I can speak here for the Swiss people. We have a state system, right? And if you have a gap because you didn't contribute because of part-time work, household work, or having taken a leave of absence from work, then you will get less when you are old. Secondly, is to check on all of the options that you can make through employer contribution and take full advantage of that and apply for any program that there is. And thirdly is to find a really smart solution on how to invest your kind of, in Switzerland, we have the 3A, the third pillar, as we call it. And there, my recommendation would be to have two strategies. One can be a conservative, but still have the money invested. And one can be one that is for the long term, a little bit of a riskier one, so that the money works harder for you. Christina, also, are the financial coaches equipped to help us regardless of where we live in the world, or are they specialized to Switzerland? No, so we have financial coaches specialized to Switzerland. We have financial coaches specialized to UK. And then we have financial coaches specialized topically. And if you can't find the coach you are looking for, just reach out to me. We certainly will in our network find somebody who can help. I don't know which country you are from, Christina. And then you were also asking what kind of investments I would recommend. I recommend investments that are easy to understand and that are low cost. And so in this case, you will most likely end up with exchange trade funds. I recommend to use robo-advisors, not necessarily because you want to have an account with them, but to use the tools, the online tools, to actually go through and click and see what portfolio they would recommend and what would come out of them. If you have never invested before, it actually helps you fairly well. And then, as already mentioned, broadly diversified investments, which for instance can be a global ETF, or if you have passion for a particular topic, also a thematical ETF. Christina, you are from Greece. Yes, so then I will look for somebody who can potentially help in Greece. What about tax consultant? Do you have someone you find outstanding and could recommend? At the moment, I don't. I have to say, Nat, I'm sorry for that, but because I also do my taxes myself, but with an online tool. So unfortunately don't have a person there, but we can look around if it is a Swiss person and ask the network. Okay, Ilona, follow up on emergency fund. Let's take that one. Yeah. Yeah, correct. Emergency fund has to be accessible, and you need to look at it in the way that the cost and the potential loss when you need it is kept to a minimum. So at the moment, there are not that many options for the emergency fund. At least I keep my emergency fund highly liquid, or some very, very low risk investments that would allow me to have easy access to it because it's here for an emergency. And then KML, some say that a couple in happy relationship should ideally pool all their money. Some say that a woman should ideally have her own private funds so she can be independent. Thoughts on that? Well, I think maintaining your independence, this is a very personal thought. It's not an investment theory, but having a way to remain independent certainly is very helpful. That doesn't mean that you start hiding money from your partners, but having money in your own name, and with that the flexibility to do whatever is most important for you in life is certainly a very good idea. It is very often, it happens very, very often that we meet women that are actually trapped in a relationship. They can't exit because they don't have the financial independence, nor the transparency, nor the independence. And so that is yeah, I would recommend to have money in your own name. An example of highly liquid emergency funds can, for instance, be money on a saving account. Even that, or a high interest saving account, or part of it invested. If it is invested in the stock market, it has to be invested in something that you can exit very easily. Just bear in mind that you might be looking at a downturn when you need the funds the most. So I personally like to play the emergency fund safe, and I actually keep it in a very simple saving account. I have to admit that, because the value to me, knowing that the money is there and that I can have access to it at the point in time when I need it very easily, is just of higher value to me than the gain I would make on having also that money invested. If I can recommend some robo-advisors, Melissa, yes, I can. Robo-advisors from Switzerland or from the UK? Where are you from? Just type in the chat. So anyway, if you are from Switzerland, I personally like the robo-advisors that also allow you to invest sustainably. Personally, I think the ones to look at is Yova, Selma, and potentially Swissquote. Those I like in terms of handling and to to craft an investment strategy. They do very, very much in terms of the fee structure and how they handle your investments. And in fact, we have a deep dive seminar now on robo-advisors coming up. I think it's May 28, somewhere in 2 or 3 weeks. You can find it on our website, where we invite the robo-advisor specialists, so the people that build these tools, to actually talk about what their robo-advisor does. So it will be Selma and Swissquote that will come and speak here in Switzerland and be open to all of your questions. So I can recommend that, and also can send you can send you an article that we've written on robo-advisor if anyone is interested. Yeah, and then yes, of course, Nat, you are right that 35K for Swissquote might be a different way, but I think the tool is a quality tool. Brilliant. Well, let me then just leave you with one last thought. Thank you so much for sticking it out for 40 minutes, those of you who were here. We have prepared a tiny cheat sheet around good money habits for you as a small reward for sitting through the money hour. And if you want to get this cheat sheet, then I just leave this for you here to say, email me the file. You should see it now. Then you can sign up, and basically the system will send you kind of a small checklist around good money habits, and it will come to you straight away after this webinar. Then also what we very often get asked is, is there a webinar replay from the regular money hours? Yes, there is. We are very much looking forward to having everybody. And if you want to leave a comment or a suggestion how you like the session or what we could do better, please be so kind and do so and leave it in the comments field. As said, we are doing these weekly money hours for all of you, for all of us to exchange and to become confident and empowered with money. So it should be useful, and I'm very happy to take any recommendation you might have. Okay, and with that, have a wonderful evening, everybody. Enjoy lots, and thank you for giving me the energy and inspiration for sharing this money hour with me. Bye-bye. See you next week.